get my back blown out in peace. You think I got time to talk about a divorce that's a year old?
I really don't care what happens to her at all. I don't care. Like, everybody they tiptoe around with this social media. But what y'all don't get is that it be real consequence for y'all little flexes, y'all quick flexes for $300 that you need. It be consequence.
Y'all, I promise you haven't heard a family mess this raw in a while. So pull up, because once you hear what went down between Teyana Taylor, Iman Shumpert, and their little girl in that courtroom, you will not be able to shut your mouth. It's not every day you hear about a child basically checking her own parents right in front of a judge, but that's exactly what happened, and the way it all unfolded had everyone in that courtroom sitting there with their jaws in their laps. It started out just like any other celebrity custody hearing, but by the time the judge slammed down that gavel, Teyana and Iman were exposed for the messy co-parents they've been trying so hard to hide from the world. And the craziest part? It was their daughter's tiny voice that dragged every adult in that room straight back to reality. So get comfy, because this is going to be a bumpy ride through secrets, court drama, and a lesson some grown folks clearly needed to hear. Let's start from the beginning so you understand why this even ended up in front of a judge. If you've been following Teyana and Iman for years, you already know they used to be that couple people would point to and say, relationship goals. They looked perfect in pictures. Their reality show made fans feel like they were best friends just chilling on the couch, and Teyana never missed a moment to tell the world how much she adored her man. And Iman? He played his part in public just fine. But behind the scenes, rumors of his wandering eye never really died down, did they? Late night partying, suspicious phone calls, girls whispering about him in DMs. Teyana, for the longest time, chose to look the other way, hoping he'd eventually outgrow that nonsense for the sake of their family. But if you know anything about men like Iman, then you know better. Cheaters don't retire, they just get sneakier. So when the stories started stacking up too high for even Teyana's loyal heart to deny, she finally pulled the plug for good. She stepped back, focused on her career, her own sanity, and most importantly, their baby girl. She tried to keep it classy. No public fights. No dragging him through the mud. She just wanted to co-parent in peace. But oh, did Iman make that hard? Because instead of being grateful that Teyana didn't air him out, he wanted to keep playing Mr. Good Dad in public while twisting the knife in private. So here we are, fast forward to a few months ago when things hit a breaking point. Teyana and Iman had been doing this push and pull over who gets the daughter on which days, who gets holidays, who picks her up from school. It started out with civil text messages, but quickly turned into full-blown shouting matches behind closed doors. Word on the street is, Iman wanted more control, more time with their daughter on weekends, more say in where she goes to school, who watches her when Teyana's traveling. Teyana, who's still building her new life and protecting her peace, wasn't about to hand over control to a man who broke her trust more times than she can count. So the lawyers got involved, and when lawyers can't fix it, court comes next. The day they walked into that courtroom, insiders say the tension was so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. Teyana came in looking stunning but serious, hair laid, outfit simple but expensive, no makeup drama, just a calm, cold stare that said she was here for business, not nonsense. Iman, on the other hand, showed up with that fake calm confidence he always does, greeting the bailiff, nodding at people, pretending everything was under control. But folks close to him swear he was sweating bullets underneath that suit. Their daughter was there too, but not sitting with either parent. The court had a child advocate, basically a neutral adult to stay by the kid's side, play with her, keep her calm, and make sure she didn't feel trapped in the grown folks' mess. She had her favorite stuffed animal, a tiny pink backpack, and for the first part of the hearing she just doodled on a piece of paper while her parents went back and forth through their lawyers. If you've never witnessed family court, let me tell you, it's not glamorous. It's not like TV where people dramatically stand up and yell objection. It's quiet, almost too quiet, and the judge watches everything like a tired parent who's seen a million divorces and is never surprised anymore. At first, things were pretty standard. Teyana's lawyer laid out her points. She wants consistency for the child. She wants Iman to stick to agreed times. No last-minute show-ups. No popping up at school with surprises. Iman's lawyer countered. Iman loves his daughter. He wants to be more involved. He thinks Teyana uses the schedule to push him out of their daughter's life when she's mad. Back and forth, calm but petty. Exactly how these things go. The judge listened patiently for about an hour, asking quiet questions here and there. Then he leaned forward, folded his hands, and did what judges sometimes do when they're tired of grown folks acting like kids. He asked the Real kid what she thought. Now, the room went dead silent when he did this because technically, no one expected him to address her directly. Usually, child advocates speak for the child. But this judge had had enough of lawyers speak. He looked right at that little girl, who was still doodling, and said gently, "Sweetheart, is there anything you want to tell me? Anything about how mommy and daddy are when you're with them?" You could have heard a pin drop. Everyone turned toward this tiny human who had been so quiet the whole time. She put down her pencil, held her stuffed bunny tighter, and looked right at the judge. And what came out of her mouth changed everything. She didn't cry, she didn't whine, she just asked, so soft but clear, "Why do I always have to go with daddy? Can I stay with mommy too sometimes? I want both. I don't want to pick." That was it. No long speech, no dramatic sobbing. Just an innocent child's truth, cutting through all the adult excuses and petty fighting. Witnesses say you could see Teyana's eyes well up immediately. She turned her face slightly so nobody could catch her wiping a tear. Iman's confident mask cracked for the first time that day. He shifted in his chair, looked down at the floor, probably wishing the ground would swallow him whole. The judge didn't yell. He didn't pound his gavel. He just exhaled and looked from Teyana to Iman like he was tired for them both. He told them, in words so sharp yet calm, that they were both failing their daughter in that moment. He said kids shouldn't feel like they have to choose sides. He said if they truly loved her more than they hated each other, they would have handled this like adults a long time ago, not dragged a little girl into a courtroom to fix problems they created. And baby, you could tell that hit both of them where it hurt. Teyana nodded quietly, looking ashamed but also determined. Iman, on the other hand, tried to stammer out some excuse about how he just wanted to protect his daughter from instability, how Teyana travels so much, how he worries. The judge cut him off. He said, "Mr. Shumpert, parenting is not a scoreboard you win by hoarding time. It's about making your child feel safe, with both parents, not one." And then he turned back to Teyana and said, "Ms. Taylor, you cannot freeze him out just because you don't trust him as a partner. That is not your daughter's burden to carry." People say the judge then ordered a full parenting plan overhaul. He demanded co-parenting counseling for both of them, said they'd have to meet with a family therapist once a week until they could agree without lawyers. He even threatened to appoint a guardian if they didn't get it together. Basically, he told them both, "Shape up or I will do it for you, and you won't like my version." The little girl didn't really understand the grown-up details, but when she saw her mom and dad both nod and say, "Okay," in front of the judge, she smiled and went back to her drawing like nothing ever happened. Kids are resilient like that. It's the grown folks who stay stuck in mess. After the hearing, people in the hallway say Teyana and Iman stood there for a good 10 minutes just staring at each other. No yelling this time. Just quiet, heavy looks. She eventually said something under her breath. He nodded, and they went their separate ways. Nobody knows if they hugged, but they definitely didn't drag it out for the cameras. Their daughter came out holding Teyana's hand and waving goodbye to Iman, who kissed her forehead and watched them leave. It was probably the calmest moment they'd had together in years. Of course, once the story leaked, the internet did what the internet does best, split into camps and start throwing opinions around. Some people think Teyana was dead wrong for trying to limit Iman's time with his daughter just because he failed as a husband. Others say Iman deserved every restriction because he hasn't shown he can be trusted. But the real ones know the truth. At the end of the day, none of that adult drama should matter more than a child's right to feel safe, wanted, and not like a pawn in her parents' fight. Now all eyes are on Teyana and Iman to see if they'll finally rise above the drama and actually do what's best, not for each other, but for their daughter. The real question isn't about who's right or wrong anymore. It's, can these two grown adults stick to the judge's plan without turning it into another Instagram showdown? Can they show up to co-parenting counseling without throwing side eyes and shade every 5 minutes? And more importantly, can they stop acting like their child owes them loyalty and instead give her the example of what real, healthy love and respect look like? Because at the end of the day, this little girl didn't ask for the spotlight, the mess, or the back and forth. What she does deserve is peace, consistency, and two parents who put her first, not their egos. So, let's open it up. Where do you stand? Are you Team Teyana, Team Iman, or Team that baby deserves better than this circus? And if you've ever been through a custody battle yourself, drop your story in the comments. You never know who might be reading. Your experience could help someone going through the same thing right now. Before you go, don't forget to hit that like button if you believe every child deserves peace at home. Smash that subscribe so you never miss the next messy update, because you already know these two are probably going to give us more drama before the year is out. Turn on your notifications. I promise I'll be right here with every juicy detail as soon as it drops. Stay safe, protect your kids from grown-up nonsense, and remember, sometimes the real grown-ups in the room are the littlest voices we forget to listen to. Until next time, y'all, take care and keep your family drama off the court docket if you can. Bye for now.